So, welcome back, everyone, to the 101 Questions of AI. I am here again, Michelle, your host, and with us is Luca, the founder of Sparked, our personal AI expert. So, today we are going to talk about artificial neural network. I've been hearing about this a lot, and honestly, it's been going over my head. So, Luca, if you would enlighten us, please, what is it?
Well, let's start from the definition. An artificial neural network is a machine learning tool. It was invented a long time ago. Actually, it was one of the first machine learning algorithms that were invented in the 50s, actually, by scientist called Rosenblatt. And
Mhm.
the name and the structure of of an artificial neural network is inspired by the human brain. And as you can imagine, in the human brain, there are a lot of neurons, billions.
Mhm.
In an artificial neural network, there are not so many neurons, but the concept is the same. So we have a lot of units connected together that gives an output in response to an input.
That's very interesting. So, if wait, so was it modeled after the human brain, or did it just appear that that's how the model should have been? Like, was it
Well,
an
the
intuition?
structure, yeah, that's an excellent question. The structure was, mimicking the human brain, and in particular, the structure is in this version, in the simplest version of an artificial neural network, very simple. So there is an input layer that
Hmm.
is composed by these nodes or neurons that takes some input in
Hmm.
the form of numbers. Then there is an intermediate layer and an output layer. These three layers are interconnected. So all the units in these layers are, we say, uh, in the machine learning jargon, fully connected. So each neuron or each unit is connected to all the neurons of the next layer. So, for instance,
Hmm.
each input neuron is connected to all the neurons of the intermediate layer. And then the final layer has the same structure, is again fully connected with all the neurons of the hidden layer. So this is a little bit complicated to explain with words, but it's very simple if you look at a picture of an artificial neural network. So three layers, a lot of hidden neurons.
All right. So, from my understanding, it's kind of like a sandwich. So, you have the input layer, which is the top, and then you have the middle layer with different layers that contain the different data. And then, if something goes through, they process it in the middle where the sandwich is or the meat is. And then, after that, you have the output later where the processed data goes out and it's actually the one that we want. Does that make sense?
Like, yeah, exactly. This is exactly how it works. Essentially, what a neural network does is it processes information, it reacts to certain patterns that are provided to the input layer, and it reacts with a specific output. So, for instance, if we were showing to an neural network the picture of a dog, a picture is here what I'm talking about when I'm referring to a picture is a digital picture, so a collection of
Hmm.
pixels, a collections of numbers, or a matrix of numbers. So we show all these matrix of numbers to the input layer, and the output layer should tell us what's in the picture. Is in the picture a cat? Is there a dog? So by looking at each pixel one by one, and by reacting to the values of those pixels, we are able to get an answer on, in this case, the content of an image. Okay, but you can imagine many other examples of applications where you have a numeric input and you want a
Hmm.
numeric output.
Perfect. So, what are the current applications now that our listeners would be able to recognize?
Well, I was mentioning, as I was mentioning before, there are, I mean, the sky is the limit. There are so many applications now that use this approach, the neural network
Hmm.
approach. To be honest, in its simplest form, when we're talking about artificial neural networks, a three layers neural network, this is really the basic. And I would say that there are still very simple problems that are
Hmm.
solved with this architecture, but the majority of use cases and the majority of problems are now solved with an enhanced, much more powerful version of these artificial neural networks, which is called deep neural networks. So we might see in our next episode or in another episode what these deep neural networks are all about. But when we think about self-driving cars, when you think about recommendation algorithms in social media, I mean, mobile phones, speech recognition, really, everything is now essentially so every problem is now solved or can be solved with a deep neural network.
All right, that has been a very informative episode. Thank you, Luca, for staying with us. And for those of you that are listening, if it is hard to visualize, we will attach the sources for this episode, and then you'll be able to see a proper photo exactly of what we mean by an artificial neural network. And stay tuned for the next episode where we'll be discussing deep neural networks. Thank you, Luca.
Thank you, Michelle.